All right, welcome to Coach's Corner. RJ Boudreaux here with Mitch Hancock. It is August, the last day in August, getting ready for September. So naturally, we are going to start discussing just our preseason stuff, what we're working on preseason-wise, some things we're doing to prepare for the upcoming season. So we have two different programs. Like most of you know, I have a public school on the west side, Mitch, private school over in the Metro Detroit area, and we're doing some similar things, but obviously have their differences. So we're just going to jump right into it, give you guys our preseason outlook. So Mitch, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, just an exciting time to be a wrestling coach and educator, obviously heading back to school. We're currently in our second week of school, so we're pretty excited to have the students back in the building and hopefully moving past, all of the COVID restrictions. So exciting time to be a wrestling coach. Let's talk about the fall, what it actually brings, some of the things that us as coaches should be doing to get ready for the season. So first and foremost, coming off the heels of our golf outing on Sunday, we had over 150 golfers there. Coaches, an opportune time to fundraise, right? Summer's over. Our business professionals, our alums, they're back to work. And I know they want to get involved in programs. So if there's an opportunity to fundraise, now's the time to do it, which will then in turn help with purchasing singlets, purchasing workout equipment, resurfacing mats if those things need to be done, and also paying for assistant coaches. So like many of the colleges, our high school budgets only allocate for a certain amount of coaches. So if you want to staff 4 to 6 guys, you're going to have to fundraise, maybe for those other 2 to 3 or 4 coaches. So we had a golf outing this past week, which was really successful. We've been doing it for a number of years. I know other programs do cornhole tournaments or bag tournaments. I know Greg Mayer over in Warrenwich Tower does a bowling event, right? Casino nights. I know Brighton did casino nights for years where they would put a limousine together, put a package together, and then take a lot of the parents down to the casino for a casino night. So just a really good time to generate funds for your program so that you can have a supplementary resource to go to when needed. RJ, I know you guys do some fundraising as well.
Yep. So we do a couple of things. One's not necessarily a fundraiser, but just the team builder that I'll get to next. That's my picnic that I do. But as far as fundraisers, that I just like to work chronologically. So we just did our picnic a couple of weeks ago. Our golf outing is in 10 days. So we're going to have our golf outing, and that's a big one for us. Not only just for the money, but just to get people together. It's a big one for our program. And I just remember trying to start one and thinking of how overwhelming that could be. And really you just got to do it. You got to even if it's 30 golfers, 40 golfers, get it started and get it established. And find a place that can work with you. And golf outing is awesome. So we have an auction at our golf outing. One of the things we auction off at our golf outing is 10 wrestlers for 2 hours to come to your place. That usually goes for a ton of money. So it's another way. It's a fundraiser inside a fundraiser. So just some good ideas there. But and then we have a big pie sale that we do. I know Brandon Day over at Richmond, they do a flower sale. And I think it's kind of it really is going to be different in every location of the country of what you're going to do in your town. But the pie sales we do, we start in October selling them, and in November we make them, and then we make handmade pies with the company, and they'll have them for the holidays. So it's a really big fundraiser for us. Again, not just for the money, it brings all of us together. We have 50, 60 people in our program making pies. You don't need that many, but everybody kind of puts their hands in and makes some pies, and it's a big fundraiser. So like you said, the fundraising goes to pay our coaches mainly. That's the number one thing that we spend money on is people, getting good people around our kids and letting them justify why the coaches justify why they have to be away from their wives. So giving them a couple $1,000s goes a long way.
Yeah, and keep in mind, right, if you're just getting started, reach out to your local businesses. These are all tax write-offs, right? So you reach out to your local businesses and individuals that are successful in the community, and they love to get back to schools. They do. And it's something they can advertise as a business. And it's also something you can advertise on a team t-shirt, some gear, by putting their logo maybe on the back of that. So get your local businesses involved.
And then, so if you guys want to see what that looks like, for me, I'm going to post it in our resources page in our coach's corner on the Wrestling Vault. So I'm going to show you what our sponsor flyer looks like and our golf outing flyer looks like. So just to give you an idea, and you can copy that right from what I have, but just to show you what levels of sponsorship we do. We go around and we have the kids walk around and knock on business doors and ask for money. And we get a lot of it just by knocking and asking and sending a good looking kid that's polite and has manners, and people want to give money to those kinds of people.
Amen. Let's move on to team builders, right? So if you're on social media, you're on Twitter, right? You see a lot of these colleges and so on getting these guys together early in the year, taking them maybe off campus and doing some type of team builder. So I was on Twitter, saw that Brian Smith at the University of Missouri took his guys floating down a river, right? There's retreats that go on where coaches will take their student athletes, get rid of their mobile devices and have them tent out for a weekend. I know Michigan State's big on that. So there's a lot of college programs that do these huge team building retreats prior to the year starting. So this is an opportune time to do that. We've done everything from community service or Christian service work and volunteering in the community as a team. The Miracle League baseball community we've been heavily involved in. We've done trips up north. I have a cottage up north, so we'll get the guys up north. We have barbecues, team gatherings, wrestling on the beach, evening runs, campfires, right, bags, and so on. So it's a great opportunity to get your team together, allow them to compete in certain circumstances. I know paintball is another great opportunity that can be relatively on the expensive side of things. And then another thing I see is a lot of these teams get together as a group and then go support another group on campus, mostly a fall sport. So go support your football team, go support your men's and girls soccer teams as a group so that those teams see the school spirit that your program brings.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that. So we do a picnic. It's a club picnic. So it's our youth to our alumni, high school kids, and we're matching up our high school kids with the 4, 5, and 6-year-olds that kind of have been to our camp. We do a camp in the summer, and we hold the picnic off until this time. Just last week we did it. So that's big for us. I also brought 20 guys up to my cabin up north, and we floated down a river. We had a campfire. We shot clay pigeons, just did all kinds of stuff, played a lot of spike ball, and just had fun. So that was a good time team building. And then we also do something where I take all of my seniors, and there's a Navy SEAL that just retired a little bit ago, and we do close combat shooting with 9mm for leadership training. So that's just for my seniors. So we do a lot of very similar things like the things that you mentioned, but you got to have them, and this is the time to do it. Some of my guys play football. Well, actually, a lot of my guys play football, and they're busy in the fall, but we still find time to work around that football schedule. I work with the football coach to try to get my hands on those guys for one of those types of activities. The cabin weekend was in the middle of like 2 days, but the football coach said, hey, this is important, let them take that Sunday off. And we went up to my cabin. So important to work with everybody in your community and your school to make those things happen. But when you're working with kids, I think most coaches, most athletic directors, most staff members want to make those opportunities happen for kids. So they'll jump on board.
Yeah, and I think it's a great opportunity for you to reveal your family life, right, and yourself with your student athletes, right? I'm pretty type A personality. I'm always working, right, and always on the go, whether it be during the season or at work and in the school building. So this is a great opportunity to let your hair down, right, and take the tie off per se, and allow these guys to see that other side of you, and allow them to get to hang out with your family, maybe assistant coach's family, so that they can see you as a father, they can see you as a husband, and they can see you as a coach, and maybe you get to have a little bit more fun with them, before the season starts, and maybe garner that respect and love that you're hoping to gather so that you can, gather trust within that athlete. So a really, really good time to establish that.
Yeah, Mitch, I'll say something to that too. That's a great point. I had something happen to me a couple of years ago. I had a student that wrote an essay to his English teacher, and he happened to mention me in the essay, and it was about him getting to see me with my family, and how much that meant to him, because he got to see me as a dad and he understands how much I care. But then he kind of related that to how much time I take off during the season. So for this kid, when I was at practice, teaching and working with guys and spending extra time, it added so much more value to that in our relationship. And it would never have happened if I didn't bring him over to my house and let him see my kids, or bring my kids with me, or wherever we're going. So these opportunities that we just spoke of in the fall, they present that opportunity. And it was really powerful for me. And I try to do more of those types of things. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah, let's move on to weightlifting, right? So coaches all the time ask, hey, how many days on the mat are you spending in the preseason? And then how many days in the weight room? And what's your objective? What's your focus in the weight room? So let's talk wrestling. Let's talk on the mat preseason, in the weight room preseason. What are the Red Arrows doing?
Well, so I've had a lot of paradigm type shifts in my mind about over the years about how to do this the right way, because there's so many things. And I don't think that there's a wrong way to do it. As long as you are lifting and active with your kids and you have them doing something that is a positive thing. So I don't get, frustrated with maybe the possibility of doing the right thing. You hear of this guy doing this lifting program and it's awesome and it works. I think it all works. I listened to a podcast a couple months ago his name's John Danaher. He is like the jujitsu guru, and he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's not even an argument. He's the best jujitsu coach in the world. And he's a big wrestling fan. And he talked about this, and not that I think you need to do it, but he likes the fact that his athletes lift weights and they do stuff, but it's more about the wrestling and stuff. And that just changed my mind a little bit. So I just think if you're with kids and you're lifting, it's a good thing. And I usually got really frustrated. You just said type A personality. I'm the same way, right? So I have a lot of guys doing fall lifting with the football team, and they're not accessible. And one of the things that really frustrated me was I would go to the lifting room with my wrestlers that are not playing a fall sport, and I had 7 kids because everyone else is doing a fall sport. And it's tough to lift with only 7 guys. And they think that you're a crappy coach because you can't get all the guys there. And that was frustrating. But then I embraced it. And I made whatever we were doing twice a week. That's all we left, twice a week. Whatever we were doing for those 2 days a week was going to be awesome. And so we really concentrate on trying to get in there, get a good warm up at 6:15 in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays, with a lot of energy. And we're going to do everything together. So when we lift, it's not just have your clipboard and you walk around and mark off the things. For me, it's all right, here's our set. First set, we're going to go 1, 2, clap. Everybody's going to clap on 2. And then we get our set done with some good music. And I'm going to post our workout program that we're working with right now on the resources page. So I'll have another thing. So you'll see our lifting program. It's a 5-week program that we kind of adjust every 5 weeks. So we'll get through it after 5 weeks, twice a week, and then we'll shift it up. But we're just trying to build a base. We're trying to get guys to where they're not coming into the wrestling season with that pudge on. Give them the opportunity to lift weights, get strong. The weight's going to come off during the season. After that 7-8 weeks of wrestling, they're going to be losing that 8 or 10 pounds of base. But we want that muscle to be there when they're done. And I think you can do that in a lot of different ways. Just make sure you're lifting a couple times a week and keep it positive. So I don't know, Mitch, I'm sure you're doing a lot with your guys. I'm curious.
Yeah, I'll second that. Right. And I think what you said is important, right? Because the consistency of athlete attendance will drive any head coach nuts. So just keep in mind that preseason lifting and postseason lifting, right, is here in the state of Michigan, it has to be voluntary, right? It has to be optional. So if a student athlete does miss a lift, right, don't get too frustrated by it. These are young men. Obviously, we want them to be consistent, but, at times I really struggle with that. But you have to focus on who's there. You have to focus on the guys that are there each day and do your best to preach consistency with them. So, I don't recreate wheels. I take a little bit of what I got from Central. So, we have a push, a pull day, or a lower body day and an upper body day to make it easier for our athletes. I am a log guy, right? So I give our athletes the log, the lifts that I expect them to do. We'll walk through the weight room together. I'll instruct them and teach them how to do those lifts. And then you give them a little bit of freedom to pair up with another athlete and then go through their lift. So that lift typically takes about an hour to 15 minutes, and then we get them out of there. The important thing is, and cool thing is that you can match a senior up with a sophomore, a senior with a freshman. So there's building going on, and there's leadership going on from the senior down to the lower underclassmen. So I really think that's beneficial for us. The other thing we'll do in the fall is we stole one from Northwestern. Northwestern does a jug workout, right? Milk jug. They take 2 milk jugs, fill them up with water. Then they head out to the stadium, and these guys are maybe run a mile or run a half mile with the water jugs, and you can't put them down for 30 straight minutes. All right. And then you bring them back to the stadium and you run stairs. Then you're doing curls, presses. And then at the end, Northwestern has them all on video, right? Smash the water jugs, and there's a huge water fight that goes on at the end. So try to be creative with some of those lifts. I know we go to a county park, we'll run the trails. We'll get the medicine balls out. We'll get the ropes out. We'll get the jump ropes out. And we'll set up stations to where these guys can get outside of their normal training environment and enjoy the sunshine and mornings. And we do that at like 8 a.m., maybe on a weekend where we don't have anything planned. And I think that's a pretty cool way to train.
Yeah, that's awesome. It just goes to show you, we do 2 completely different styles of the weight room, and they both work. So whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you have, sometimes it comes down to availability and resources. I know that I just sent out an email actually yesterday to all my coaches because, I like to be at everything, but I have some daycare issues. So I couldn't make 2 of the days I have coming up for lifting. And I got them covered by some coaches or even some volunteers in the community that are able to be there and open up the doors for our lifting and stuff. So just trying to be ahead of that stuff and be there for the kids is important too.
Let's talk about wrestling on the mat stuff, right? So, a lot of these clubs have just started up. A lot of the schools have started up, and kids want to get on the mat. So, let's talk a little bit about what the preseason training should look like. Yeah,
this is it's a tough one, I think, depending on your area and what you have available to you. It doesn't have to be tough, but, we have a 1 day a week where it's captains led people that show up and want to do it, where we go up and we have different drills and techniques for those kids to do, mainly ones that our seniors know. They've been around the program for enough time and they know those drills. But still, with that being said, we're going to use the wrestling vault to make sure they're aware of what it is. So all the kids that are part of it will get sent the drills that we're working with. They're on the vault and they're going to work through those drills. And then we let them wrestle too, however much they want to wrestle. So they want to get through the drills. They're nice and warm and they've gotten through what they need to do. And they've been able to play wrestle a little bit, and then they're able to wrestle. But then we also have a connection with, there's a couple different clubs around here. So we work with Michigan Grappler RTC, and I'll send our guys over there on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So they get the opportunity to go to that club and wrestle, and we kind of count on that. So, and then obviously we have our kids playing football. They're not going to be wrestling as much, but they still have the opportunity to do all of those if they really want to. They think they can fit it in, and they're not going to be overworking with the fall sports. But again, we're going to concentrate on certain drills and just kind of getting those guys moving through those drills. And then I'm not going to get into specifics on them, but we use the wrestling vault to kind of show what those are. So if it's, down blocking or sparring, we have videos on that with the vault. We're going to send those out to the kids, make sure they know what they are. And then our seniors will be able to kind of relay that to them and work with them through that one practice a week. Mitch, what about you?
Yeah, very similar, right? So here in Michigan, we're not allowed to run structured workouts in the preseason. So, it's more of an open room style, student-led, student-run room. And don't get me started on those rules and regulations. I think they're extremely outdated and so on. I think we're a little bit behind the 8 ball when it comes to that stuff. So, but in saying so, we utilize, more of a structured approach where we know we have 8 weeks to prepare our guys for the Super 32. So there's 2 events that we primarily focus on in the fall: the Grappler Fall Classic, which is now down in South Carolina, and then obviously the Super 32s, which is down in North Carolina as well. So Grappler Fall Classic falls on week 5, Super 32s on week 8. So as a coaching staff, we structure the weeks to basically touch on every situation and every scenario we think our guys may experience in leading up to that big recruiting trip, right? Or that recruiting tournament. So, for example, I posted on social media this past week, week 1, we're working on offensive setups, snaps, and sit backs, right? A lot of these guys coming off the freestyle season haven't sit back or haven't stood up in 4 months, right? So their bottom wrestling, I found, is absolutely horrendous early preseason, and they really have to develop the bottom wrestling and mat wrestling skills to be ready for that tournament. Week 2, reattacks for heads, chop D. So how do I get our athletes to understand some of those scenarios when I can instruct? Really, really difficult. So we do too utilize the wrestling vault. We have filters on there that will break down a category. So if I want a kid to focus on sit backs, right, I'm going to get them onto the wrestling vault if I can, and have them use the filter process to categorize down so they can pick sit backs and watch through those techniques that some of our instructors hand out. So if I can't instruct in the room, let's utilize the wrestling vault and maybe teach these guys something outside the room. So those are a couple of ways in which we go about our preseason plan. We're on the mats 3 days a week. Keep in mind, it's optional. Again, I can't mandate anything. So do not get frustrated when guys don't show. I just ask that my athletes communicate with me so I know where they're at. So 8-week training cycle on the mat 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This coming Friday, it's pretty cool. We established a workout at 3 o'clock, 3 to 5. I invited the dads in. So we're going to do a dogs with dads sort of barbecue afterwards. So the dads are going to come in. They're invited to watch, the workout in open room scenario. I'm going to have a meeting with them at 4 o'clock and walk them through the college recruiting process and what that looks like. And then we're going to have a huge tailgate at 5 o'clock with burgers, dogs, brats, sodas, so that these guys can enjoy that time with their dads and then head out to the football game together as a unit. So we're going to do that on Fridays. We're pretty excited about that. But again, keeping it light, allowing the guys to compete, and then getting through that 8 weeks.
Speak to me about, 2 things before I get to the second question about the recruiting process. I want to mention on the vault, what I like to do is make a playlist within my own account with my team, and then share that with the right guys so that they can just go through all of those videos, and it's all linked right there for each practice. So for you, you could put it week 1, 2, 3, 4, all different playlists, and they would know exactly what you want to show them. So that's a really nice feature that the Wrestling Vault provides. Secondly, you mentioned the college recruiting process. Are you meeting with these dads? Are they freshmen to seniors, or are they just going to be like your incoming seniors?
So the dogs and dads, guys, freshmen to seniors, we'll touch on everything to the NCAA clearinghouse and the eligibility process, right? Most of these dads don't recognize that their son has to have an NCAA clearinghouse number. That, their ACT scores are posted to, their SAT scores are posted to, their grade point averages and so on, so that these colleges can start the recruiting process. We'll go through how to get onto a website and click on the recruiting questionnaire and let that college know maybe you're interested in that school. So there's several things that these guys can do now in preparation, to their senior year. Some of these dads have to understand too that their kids just aren't D1 wrestlers, and that the state of Michigan and the Midwest and across the country, we have so many really good Division II and Division III schools. The difficulty with that here is everyone wants their son to be a D1 wrestler, and it's not for everyone, right? No. I think us as coaches can see that, but it's really hard to convey that to a parent.
Yeah, I think that's a whole topic in itself. We could probably do a coach's corner on that just by itself, but totally agree. And speaking of preseason, we didn't mention it, but in the preseason, we have that the GFC combine that's going to be at your place.
It's an awesome combine, Midwest Elite Combine. We started 2 years ago. Here at Catholic Central, we currently have 7 Division I schools. I just got a text yesterday from Coach Beckerman over at Brown. He's considering coming in. So just a 6 to 7 D1 schools, another 15 to 20 D2, D3 schools. And we'll run the guys through a workout through the day. I think it's going to be ran by Logan Massa this year. We'll test them on the 1 mile, test them on the pull-ups, and then the coaches will get a binder on each athlete. So it'll give each athlete's successes, and then it will also give them contact information, test scores, and so on. So each athlete will have a profile number, which will then coordinate with our binder, which each coach will get. So it's a pretty great opportunity here at Catholic Central on September 18th.
Cool. So we're going to wrap this up, but before that, we got to touch on one more thing. Just working with our coaches and kind of having the coaches meeting and getting ready for the stupid administrative stuff that we have to do. And it's going to be different at every school. For me personally, I have to make sure that all my overnight trips are submitted to my Board of Education to approve. It goes to my principal, then goes to the Board of Education. So I have to fill out that form. And then also I have to get all my coaches kind of cleared. So every year, no matter how long, I have a coach that's been volunteering for 15 years. Every year he's got to fill out that volunteer form, make sure the background check clears. And then I can get him a key. The key is a big part that allows him to get in without me being there. So, doing those things are really important. A document that I live by that's really important that I think every coach should have is a timeline. My timeline will start in June. So that's kind of the time where the senior classes, they all graduate, and now I'm bringing in the new class. So we go to a team camp and so on, but it goes June, July. I have something for every month, and I start putting little links in there for the different documents. I really like to kind of have that timeline. I will put the timeline in the resources of the Coach's Corner. So I'll get that up in there so you guys can find it. It'll be a little PDF for you. So in case you want to see what I have going on and all those types of things, you can kind of copy that document. So. Yeah,
our coaches meetings, great time to sit down, have some beers, watch some football, bring the paperwork, make sure everyone has their background checks fulfilled, that the school information is all filled in. You want to be compliant with your AD, put him in a good position to succeed with administration. So a great time to rally the troops, designate assignments, social media assignments. Hey, you're in charge of Facebook, you're in charge of Twitter, you're in charge of Instagram. Who's going to the Grappler Fall Classic? Who's going to 32s? And really delegate those assignments. Who's going to be our parent moderator? Who's going to do this? So you just want to make sure you're planned, ready to go, and have a great time in discussion. Heck, our coaches meetings will last 4 or 5 hours because we get so side railed on different conversations, football games, and just having a good time. So it's a really nice gathering with some work that gets done, obviously. Yeah. Another thing, RJ, is you got to prepare for alphas, right? Alphas are in November. So as a coaching staff, we got to sit down, project our lineup and say, hey, where does this guy have to alpha at? So that's another way in which you can touch on that.
Yeah. Alphas, usually it's October, 28th or something is when the first date you can alpha. So you can kind of do that test run alpha and then, get the alpha in too. So it's a good point. So a lot going on in the fall. And if coaches, if you're one of those guys that shows up on November 14th or 15th and haven't put anything in, it's exactly probably what you're going to get out of the season. It's going to be frustrating. So there's a lot you can do to improve your program, but at the same time, don't think you have to do it all. Just try to add one thing and make sure your ducks are in a row. But it's an important time for you to have a successful season to try to be prepared. So,
yeah, let us help you at the Wrestling Vault. Let us help unlock the potential. We're here to open up our doors and share our programs with you. So if you guys need anything, let us know. Shoot us an email. Get on the Wrestling Vault. Submit a questionnaire, and we're here to respond. So we're here for all the coaches out there.
Absolutely. So, all right, that is going to do it for us. We will see you next week on a Coach's Corner, and we'll have a new topic for you. Like always, we're here to help. So thank you.